Welcome to Brazen Exchange. I'm your host, Vanessa Emadi. It's been a while, I'll admit. I think the last time I posted anything was in March. And even I think March 31st, I posted something about women, a what I call it an ode to women, so womanhood, just celebrating the month of women, Women's Month, International Women's Day, and everything that comes with it. So yes, that was the last time I posted, and I took a break. And the reason I did that was because when you go to my podcast, everything that I talk about, the Nigerian government. To be honest, I talk about the issues in our country, and these issues are not good issues, right? The truth is, when you type what is happening in the country or you type recent news in the country, you're probably seeing one policy that is being passed. You're hearing about, oh, the government is going to do this. You're hearing about pension arrears. You're hearing about, there are all of these stories. And even the ones that have, okay, we are going to do this, we are going to do that, those kinds of stories. You then check, right? Let's say this thing was posted, they talked about it in January. For example, I think the military pension board, they said they were going to give the retired military officers are going to give them pay them their arrears and all of that. I just read recently that their 2 months arrears have not been paid, and these people had to protest. They protested in I think last year December. They protested then, and then they protested in January this year. And each time they protest, they'll send them money. And see, now I'm already talking about it. You get the gist. Yes, these are the issues that go on in my country. For you to now get the positive stories, you have to dig deep. You have to search. But what Google will give you at first are these kinds of stories. Anyway, so I said I don't want my podcast to be looking like Vanessa is constantly attacking the government. Vanessa, there's nothing good that Vanessa is saying about this country. Meanwhile, land of milk and honey with beautiful people. So why is it hard to get stories, positive stories, rather than these negative news or news or, to be honest, inactivity? Because you telling me that you're going to do this doesn't mean that it's going to be done. It's like you just published it out there that you're going to do it. Has it been implemented? No. So yes, I took a break from that. I didn't want to sound like a broken record. So I started thinking, if you didn't know, last month was my birthday, April 29. And I was just talking to God. I said, Baba God, please, my podcast. I've not posted anything because I like to always try to post at least once in a month. I know once is too small, but once in a month, like minimum, minimum, minimum. And I told God, I'm like, God, I beg. April is almost over. I've not posted anything on my podcast. And I don't want to talk about the Nigerian government again. Like, I'm tired. So many issues went on last month, even this month. And I'm trying to turn a blind eye, or I'm trying to ignore. I just told God, please help my life. I need a miracle. Please, I don't want to keep speaking about this thing. What should I do next? And it came to me, thank you, Jesus, reporting for good. So that's what I'll be doing going forward, reporting for good. And what that basically means is that I will by myself, I will dig as much as I need to dig. I will go and find the positive stories, and not just about Nigeria, but stories from Africa. As long as it's in the African continent, I am going to find it a positive story to share with people, to encourage people. Like, we've had enough of the terrible and bad, because we see it every day. You go out on the street, you are seeing all the negative things happen. Can we imbibe some positivity? That's what I'm about to bring, and that's what I'll be bringing going forward. Positive stories to encourage people, to let people know that everyday individuals like you and I are doing something good, regardless of the situation around them. People are doing good to change the vibe they see. So we can emulate them and say, okay, this person can do it. If Vanessa can do it, so can man. So that's what I'll be doing going forward. And I thank you all for being on this journey with me. Thank you all for listening to my podcast. People come up to me and tell me, oh, Vanessa, this thing has happened though, you not talk about it. Or, oh, Vanessa, this thing that you said though is true, but we are in this country, no matter how many times you talk, nothing will change. That's a lie. I want us to get rid of that lie. Anyways, we are focused on the positive side. So maybe if we start talking about the positive thing, if we start seeing more of people doing positive things around us, maybe it can become a norm. We can start to inculcate that in what we do and start by ourselves doing good things to sowing good seeds into our community. Let us breathe fresh air of positivity, of goodness, of integrity, of transparency. Don't you want that? I want that. So that's what I'll be fighting for going forward. Thanks and God bless. And now for my first story. To be fair, it was really hard finding these stories. Like I mentioned before, it was so hard because once they had for me to know something positive is happening, but it's easy for me to know that the government has added 6.9 trillion naira to the 2025 budget. You get me started. So you see how easy those kind of news fly. But then, anyways, first story on the list is Joseph Pariaga and the Vision Bearers. They're transforming lives in Islam in Nairobi, Kenya. So, former gang member Joseph Pariaga, he co-founded Vision Bearers in 2017 after the tragic loss of his brother to police violence. So Joseph and his former gang members decided to come together to turn a new leaf. There's a slum in Nairobi, and they have turned that slum from a former garbage dump into a thriving hydroponic farm. And if you don't know what hydroponic farming, it's an unconventional type of farming without the use of soil. This time you're just using water in a controlled environment. And this water is filled with mineral essentials that plants need to grow and become fruitful. So yeah, so they turned that slum into a thriving hydroponic farm, and they're cultivating vegetables, raising pigs, and farming tilapia. This initiative that these boys have formed, it not only combats food insecurity because they're providing free weekly meals to about 150 children, but it also offers community outreach on drug abuse, crime prevention, and health education for girls. So are you seeing how just one act that they saw said they decided to change their ways and they turned it around for good? And now they're speaking against the things that the previously did. So they're speaking against drug abuse, they're speaking against crime, and now there's even health education for girls. Thank you, Joseph Harrigan and the Vision Bearers for the good work that you are doing. Another person on the list is Oluwafunke Adeoye, and she started the initiative called Hope Behind Bars Africa. And through this initiative, she's providing free legal access to inmates who are indigent, people who can't afford to process bail or get lawyers, who are downtrodden, downright poor. She's providing legal services to them. And not just doing that, she's also arranging rehabilitation for them in the form of vocational training and education as well. Her organization empowers inmates to reintegrate into society successfully. And what this is focused on is to reduce recidivism, which is where inmates who are now released go back to society and fall into the trap of people instead of them starting a new life. So now she wants to cut that down and make sure that, okay, these people have trainings and skills that they can apply to start a new life instead of them going back to crime. Do you want to know how she started? She volunteered with an NGO and they went to prisons. So seeing the terrible conditions of prisoners, made her realize that, oh my God, we need to do something about it. Other than the fact that the prison condition is terrible, but there are some inmates who have been there for a long time because of they've not been able to afford their bail, they were not able to get a lawyer. Like it could even be for petty issues, but they've been there for years and they're poor. They can't escape the prison, and there's no money to get them out of there. So she saw that it was majorly the poor people who were affected by this, and that's why she started Hope Behind Bars Africa to help solve that issue. And she's doing a beautiful job. So thank you, Oluwafunke, for the great work that you're doing. Finally, we have Amara Nwunye, who is transforming waste into playgrounds. Well, how did this start? Let's find out. Her home was affected by the floods that happened in 2020, and that flood displaced her family. So it made her realize the impact of climate change. Usually, we have trees that can resist wind, floods, whatever it is. But now, because of all the developments, building happening, these people are building without considering climate. These builders, these developers are building without considering what is good for man, without considering nature. It's just buildings stacked against each other, causing all this. That's why there's terrible hits in Lagos. That's why there's terrible hits in Lagos. Not only did it displace her family, but her parents' spice business was also affected. This led her to make a documentary on climate change in Africa and also led her to start an NGO which you call Preserve Our Roots. For the first project that she did, she converted a trash dumping ground into a playground. Now, this was a site in Ipotan, Nigeria, and she worked with local artisans to procure reclaimed metal and wood, as well as tires that were laying around the area. And what they did was to build a slide, swings, and climbing walls. This particular area in Ikota is described as a slum and also flood free. So what she did with the help of donations and volunteers was to plant flood resistant trees around the playground so that no matter what happened, the playground is secure from flood, from the rains, and from washing away. There's a beautiful comment that I read on Business Insider Africa. They covered this story. So it says here that on March 1st, they opened the park for school children. And this is a comment from Umuli herself. I remember when the children were like, now something we can actually call beautiful. It kind of broke my heart. These are children who grew up in Islam, who have never seen something as beautiful as that, who have never had the chance to only say, I went to the park today, I played on the swing, I did this. Like, they've never seen something beautiful in the Islam environment. Through using recyclable materials, she turned a dumping ground into a playground, providing a beautiful space for children and even their loved ones, families to come and hang around and just have quality time with themselves. And guess what, guys? That's not all. This 17-year-old teenager went on to win the 2025 Earth Prize and a $12,500 award for converting that trash dumping ground into a playground. And now she plans to build 3 additional community parks in Nigeria, promoting environmental awareness and resilience. Isn't that beautiful? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm sure you know some places in your community that help, but maybe there's a road that is hard somewhere. You know that you can actually gather people around, seek for donation, and make that change happen instead of waiting for the government to fix this. You know you can do that. You have the power in you. The capacity is in all of us. And now for a bonus story, I'll be talking about recyclers. So it was while I was reading about Umuneli's story that I came across recyclers. I actually did go on YouTube to watch the documentary that she did on climate change in Africa. And the lady was speaking about recyclers, how they're able to convince people living in low income communities to pick up trash in their environments in exchange for cash, essential goods such as food items, household products, airtime or data, and even school supplies. So recyclers operate a point-based reward system. So when participants give in their recyclable materials like plastic bottles, cans, and paper, they earn points based on the weight and type of material. The best part, these participants can choose what they want. So it's not as if I'm going to drop my plastics with recyclers and they give me whatever they feel like giving me. No, I can decide out of cash, data, airtime, food items, food. So I can decide out of those options and say, oh, based on my need, this is what I want. So take my plastic, take my recyclable materials next day and then give me this in exchange. Isn't that wonderful? Let's note this, right? Recyclers have significantly improved waste collection in Lagos, especially in informal settlements in places that are underserved, low income community. By providing incentives, the initiative encourages recycling, reduces pollution, and creates employment opportunity. Because yes, I pick up debts, I earn money. Am I not making a living? I'm making a living, please. So don't judge me based on how I'm making my living. Thanks and God bless. But then they're doing such a wonderful work at it. They are making their environment better. And what I like most about this is that she's engaging the community members. So it's not like volunteers. Of course, there'll be volunteers, but they're not the only ones. She's making the community members themselves be a part of their problem solving, be a part of cleaning up their environment, taking pride in the fact that, okay, my community looks good. There is no waste around. And if I see a waste, I'm going to drop it in exchange for this. And it doesn't even matter if it is plastic or anything, just for the fact that they get to pick those recyclable materials. When they see things are not even recyclable, it will occur to them that, okay, I pick these things on a normal basis to earn a living. I might as well pick these other things to dispose it properly. So there's also a form of, I'll call it informal or a of what's the word? A subtle education going, a subtle mind changing that's happening. That is the power of community. That is the power of taking action, not just waiting for somebody to do something for you, but taking action. I'm taking action here, reporting for good, letting you know about these things that you can do. I'm playing my own role. So please, let's not wait for the government to fix us. Let's not wait for the government to save us. Can we start saving ourselves? If we say we want to wait for the government to make up their minds whether they want to rescue us or not, we might wait until Jesus comes, oh, don't you think? But if we decide that, let me even start from the community. What I like about these stories that I've shared is that they're not even thinking they're not thinking big at the moment. It could go big, but they're not thinking big at the moment. They're just saying, let me start from the community that I'm in. What am I seeing around my community? What is bad in my community that can be fixed? That we don't have to, of course, governments, but we don't have to actually wait for the government. What can we do about it? If you know you don't have the resources, you can speak to people who have the resources. Like these ones, some of them sought donations. You can go online, crowdfund, and then fix what's in your community and post online and let people know, oh, this was what was in my community before. I asked for donations. You guys provided it. And now see what has been done. See how we have rectified the situation. And that is enough encouragement to somebody out there that, okay, let me also start this. Are you also seeing that it's also a form of employment? You're creating employment opportunities, not just for yourself, but for the people who join you in that mission, in that course that you're on. So let's do good to change the bad we see. I'm tired of hearing about when the government will fix. Let's not wait for the government anymore. Let's start making things right for ourselves because they are the ones that will use these things, to be honest. These people in the upper echelons, they will take care of themselves. They can travel abroad. And who will not be left in this country? Is you and me, you and I, anyone. And then again, I'm also thinking, oh well. But yeah, who will be left? The two of us. So let's do something to help ourselves. Let's stop waiting for the government. If there's any good thing that you can do, any course that you can take up, if you're looking to find purpose, this is the place to find it. Look around you. It's just like in the Bible, right? The woman, the widow who went to meet Jesus, or I don't even know whether Jesus met her. And the conversation shall went this way. Oh, she needs money, or see, at this point, I'm making things up. She didn't have money, right? And see now, I don't even know what she was. Let's just go with it. So this widow meets Jesus. She doesn't have money, and she's like, "Oh, this is the last thing. This is the last oil. Once this oil finished, that's it for me and my child. We can't survive again." What did Jesus say? Jesus said, "You know what? Take that your jar of oil that you have, the one that's in your hand, take that one and pour it pour it into the jars that you have in your house. When the jars in your house are completely filled, gather, go and get more cans. Maybe you borrow from your neighbor. Go and get more. Keep pouring, keep pouring, keep pouring until the oil runs out." I don't know if it didn't occur to her that way too. It's like this bottle of oil that I'm seeing that is in this corner, right? How is this oil supposed to be filling up bottles, filling up jars, containers? But she did. She obeyed. She went. She was pouring oil, 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 and until the very last spot. So she filled up the entire jars in her house. Even went outside to collect jars, filled until the last drop. And she was amazed at how much oil she had, how many jars. So these were jars that she could sell off and make good living for herself and her son. But this was something that was in her hand. This was something that was available to her. Like, what do you have? And she said it's a jar of oil. So you, what is in your community? That can be your purpose. You don't know. What is in your community? That can be what will inspire somebody else to change their life, to turn their lives around, just like what happened the first to Joseph, the first story I shared. Your action can spur somebody to do something good with their lives. Your action can spur a community development. Your action can empower people. You have the capacity, you have the power in you. So make it count. Till next time on Brazen Exchange, I'm your host, Vanessa Emadi. Goodbye.